I talk a lot about authenticity and alignment, and one of the key components to alignment is your belief system. I want to share a story with you guys, and it's my personal experience on an aspect of my life that I had to become more aligned with my belief system. And I choose to share this one with you because I think it kind of hits home with everybody. And this isn't meant to get you to do it the way I did it or to believe what I believe, but it's more meant to help you understand that when you identify a discrepancy in your belief system, an approach that works to help become aligned in that area. The one that I'm choosing to share with you is surrounding religion. I was raised Catholic, very strict Catholic, and I was out of alignment with a portion of that. There was a portion of that growing up that I just couldn't fathom. I couldn't understand. I couldn't believe that this God that loves us, this Jesus, all of these creators would build a place of fiery hell and throw any of us in it. I just don't understand it. And it got more and more challenging to understand the more and more I understood people, and the fact that on the surface, most people are just trying to live the best way they can. They're not trying to hurt and harm people. They're trying to make it through this life on their own and make the best decisions they can. And I believe that alone would land you a spot in heaven. So if there's a heaven and a hell, what would even be the point of having a hell if you care about these people that you throw here to learn life? And so I've been in my whole life, I was in deep conflict with even the thought of hell. Like, I didn't like it, it bothered me, and it actually put me off balance, because anytime I did something that I thought was fun or in conflict or a sin, I'm like, oh man, my religion tells me I'm going to hell. And whether I like it or not, that buried deep down inside, somewhere in here, I always felt it and always thought it. And because of that, it made me feel like I'm not worthy of anything. It made me feel like I wasn't worthy to have certain things in life, certain people around me in life. And this was a massive misalignment that I experienced for a good portion of my life. And as I started to get older and develop and had some significant things happen to me in life and taught me, like, I got to make these changes and make these adjustments. This is one of the number one things that I went to was religion. I had to go to that. That was the one thing that really left me out there feeling lost. And so what I did is I started to really look into Jesus. And what did Jesus teach? Why did Jesus get crucified? Why would they want him gone? What did he say? And another thing that really hits home with me is I'm in management. I talk to a lot of people every day. I sit in meetings and talk to groups of people. And I know full well that if there's 7 to 10 people in a room, doesn't matter the number, I can say one thing to every person in that room. And if you pull them out and you talk to each one of them and ask them what I said, every one of them will have a different version of what they heard me say. And this is something that I learned in management and learned how to adapt to. And a lot of times I'll say it a couple of different ways so that they hear it. And then I'll even have them feed it back to me to make sure that what they heard, they convey properly, which means they understood what I meant. Because what you say doesn't always come out the way you mean. You can use the wrong tones. There's all these different variables that changes what different people seeing one person do. So knowing this, I have a different perspective when I look at the writing in the Bible, whether it was any one of the books that any one of the disciples wrote, like all of those things, those are those individuals' perspective of something Jesus said. So you have the right to take all of those readings and writings and make your own decision what he meant by it. Make your own decision what those words meant and how they were meant to be used. And for me, a lot of it is, I believe Jesus was trying to teach us different things about how to be aligned so that you can achieve authenticity. Because when you can achieve alignment and authenticity, you're going to achieve peace. And peace is what we're meant to do here. We're meant to be here we're an extension of our God. We're here to create. We're here to do all of these things, and we're meant to do them for each other, with each other, for the advancement of each other. And so I started to develop a different belief system around this. I believe that Jesus was teaching us the path. I believe that sin is not a check mark on a box that fills up and throws you in a burning pit of hell. I don't believe that. I believe that sin is something that we create as a benchmark, and it's a compass. So when you hit a sin, think of it like a bumper on a bowling alley with a bumper ball. You hit the side, that's a sin. It's just correcting your path. You hit this other side, it's a sin. You're correcting your path. And sins are bouncing you off these walls and getting you into an alignment. And when you can learn to flow down that path without hitting the walls, without sinning, you live in alignment and you have a clean thought process. Your mind is ready to go. Ideas flow to you, words flow. People come to you that you're more aligned with. And you'll find, there's a lot of things in your life that this applies to, whether it's going out and partying and drinking and, doing things you regret. It in your perspective, in my own perspective, sinful would be going out partying, ending up at home with somebody that I don't really care about. And the next day, now we got to sort through all these feelings. And maybe for the next week or two, we got to have these awkward conversations that we're not right for each other and somebody's getting hurt. And it was unnecessary. You didn't have to do it. And it's because it's a lack of alignment with your belief system. I don't believe that that's a great way to live. And then I go out and do it because I'm trying to solve a need for a minute. Those things, they're just indicators. They're indicators of alignment. And when you start to take them at a less end-all version, it makes it easier to work with them and understand them and adapt to them, right? Like, I don't feel like if I screw up that I've ended everything. It's just, it's today. And tomorrow I get to make a correction and I can make it right. And I'm not feeling like I'm building up this checklist of items that's got me landed in the pits of hell. So I use religion to explain that to you, but then there's other parts of this that are important to kind of hit on. So as I started to learn about this, I identified that a lot of our programming comes from an early age that we have no control over. And it's important that I add this part in here because some of you watching this are parents, and it's critical for you to understand that you are programming your child at a young age. We were programmed. My dad was programmed, my mom was programmed, they programmed me based on what they were programmed off of. And that's why you hear the term history repeats itself. It repeats itself because we just keep teaching each other the same things over and over again. And until you extract that and start to rewrite it, you're not ever going to change the trajectory of your family or be able to right the wrongs. If there's things that are in your family's bloodline belief system, you picked them up when you were a kid. You picked them up and now you're passing them to your kid. And it's important to know that. And there's a great book you can read. It's Tony Robbins. I'll attach it down here. It's neurolinguistic programming is the process that causes this. And it's science. I mean, it makes sense. There's a lot of studies that prove it. But it's important for me to share it here because if you are a parent and you're raising kids, you have an opportunity to give your kids some flexibility to help discover themselves, discover their own belief system without giving them some biased version that you created. And you're obviously welcome to do that. You can go right ahead and turn your kid into whatever type of zombie you'd like to. But the reality is you may just be creating more problems for them in their future that they can't, maybe they don't identify. Maybe they don't get to see a video like this. Maybe somebody doesn't ever explain it to them and they spend their entire life thinking that they're a failure and they suck and they can't get anything right. And it's probably not accurate. It's not fair. They were given that at an early age and they couldn't figure it out in their lifetime, and they have to serve a permanent life of hell on earth because we weren't considerate of their own individuality. Now, I'm not saying go out there and let them do whatever they want. Discipline is important. I'm huge on discipline. I raised my kids very strictly. But I also was very cautious around areas of their passion, things they like, things they love, and just trying to support them with information, not inundate them with rules and regulations. So again, I wanted to share that part because I think it's important that as you start to, if this stuff's interesting to you and you research it and you look into more of it, you have a huge opportunity to help your children do things a little bit differently, and that's going to contribute to the future of humanity in general. So hopefully what you watched here was helpful. If you know anybody who could benefit from this video, please share it with them. Subscribe and have a good one.